But Garland's going to be tough to follow. Thank you, sir. Emerson Crooks is a distinguished United States Marine veteran. He served with great honor in Vietnam, in combat, did the right thing there, and when he came back, he's done the right thing. He spent his entire life since then trying to ensure, to the best that he can, that there's less Ira Hayeses and more Garlands. It doesn't always work, but he stays at it day in and day out. And that, among many other reasons, is why we're here to recognize him this evening. And to join us in that recognition is our Assemblywoman from the 27th District, Assemblywoman Mila Jacey, who is a mental health advocate and an advocate for education and many other things. And Mila, come on up, because I know you have a proclamation you would like to give to Emerson. So let me get the proclamation.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bob, and thank you to everyone who's here tonight. Mental health issues are very important to me. I serve with Governor Cody, and as you know, he also, that is his life's work. This is the best part of my job. We spent the day in Trenton today. That's why we were a little late getting here. And it was a frustrating day, to say the least. So that's all I'm going to say about it. And I was looking forward to being able to come tonight to meet you after reading all about you. And so it is my pleasure not only to recognize you, but also to do something with Bob, because I will tell you that when we're in our office and a constituent calls who has a mental health issue or a family member, it's usually a family member, the first person we think of calling is Bob. And he has never failed to give us a great recommendation and the help that we need to guide the person calling. So, having said that, you'll be very happy to know that I'm not going to read this resolution, a lot of tiny print, and it basically recognizes all of your accomplishments. And it is a joint resolution from both the Senate and the Assembly recognizing you, and I will read one small part of it. The strength Emerson Crooks has demonstrated a remarkable measure of public spiritedness, and in so doing has provided an example of good and responsible citizenship worthy of admiration. And whereas the strength and success of the state of New Jersey, the vitality of its communities, and the effectiveness of our American society depend in great measure upon concerned and devoted citizens, like all of you here tonight, and exemplified by Emerson Crooks. Be it resolved that the Senate and the General Assembly of the state of New Jersey honor and congratulates Emerson Crooks, joins in paying tribute to his meritorious record of service and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for your continued success. And as I like to say, it is suitable for framing, but as you know, we're broke. So you're going to have to do it yourself. Thank you.
You're not up yet.
Oh, I'm not.
No, we're not done. We're not done with you. But you stay here. Karen, if you can come up, Emerson's lovely wife. Steve Need, please, our board president. Wherever you like. We're honoring Emerson this evening for several reasons, not the least of which has been his support of the Mental Health Association of Morris County for more than 20 years, and now the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris. He started in our homeless outreach program with the homeless van, hitting the streets, giving out hot dogs to the homeless people. And that's one of the ways I started, and we both shared the story that we had to rethink that, because some of the fellows were selling the hot dogs. But that's how it goes. He started in the street, and he's done the same type of work with veterans. He currently supports the Veterans Assistance Center. He works with the Lions Veteran Hospital, New Jersey Stand Down, and for over 20 years he's had various roles at the Mental Health Association of Morris County and now the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris, not the least of which he was the board president along with Steve Nee that made the merger of the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris possible. So we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for your work. So we thought a fitting way to honor you, being that you've been all about making sure that there's no more Ira Hayes and there's more Garlands, is to present to you the Ira Hayes Trailblazer Award for your work on behalf of veterans and on behalf of individuals with mental illness. So congratulations, Emerson.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the honor and the attention. It's the type of thing that you do and you try to keep it quiet. Now, I read someplace where they said that the brain is the most interesting organ because it starts working when you're first born, and it keeps working up until you have to stand in front of a crowd and say something. So if there is any incoherency, you can understand what caused that. I actually made some notations, which I have a tendency to make notes and then not follow the notes. But thanks. I started off volunteering. Well, I'm a combat vet. I'm a combat Marine, served in Vietnam, and experienced extreme combat and extreme trauma that goes with watching your other 18 and 19-year-old colleagues, especially when you become a squad leader and you're in charge and you feel totally responsible for the lives of the other young men, and you watch them die horrible deaths that you feel that you're responsible for. And it tends to leave you with a level of guilt that is an extreme challenge to shake. It also, I can understand the gentleman here and Ira Hayes very well, because whatever that goes on in the mind of folks, sometimes I always say to people, you see veterans on the street and they look disheveled and they're out there, but you have to remember one thing: these were young men that were split, polished, and squared away, just like they would say in the Marine Corps. And at that time, you honor them with great respect. But what goes on inside their minds that lead them to be in the place that they are today is something that's a very difficult challenge for the average person to understand. But I understand it very well, and it motivated me to get out in the streets and try to see what I could do. Now, years ago, the VA was not as responsive as it is today to the needs. And so I looked around to find agencies and organizations that might be able to lend a hand. And so I came up on the MHA. And like Bob was saying, my first job was to run the hot dog wagon out into the street. And this was all volunteer. One of the things I learned over the years is that service is not just it's a responsibility, and it's also a privilege. I feel extremely blessed to have survived this entire ordeal and still have the presence of mind and the wherewithal to be able to step up and help other folks, and also to be able to try to bring a level of quality of life to myself by doing not just things for other folks, but for being able to hold myself together long enough. Of course, I did have some help early on dealing with these struggles. You know, family members can tell you more about some of this from their perspective of it. Well, I always learn, and I will say this to folks that are in the room, that whatever you can do to improve the quality of life for folks, no matter how small it might be, or how insignificant you might think it is, you should make it a point to do it. Because I shared this with Bob a couple days ago, that I learned something about great rivers, that they are fed by small and started and fed by small subterranean streams that you don't even see. And then they become great rivers. Without those small streams, those large rivers would dry up. And so this is why your support of the agency, no matter how big or no matter how small it is, it's never insignificant, because it goes, our whole society is made up like that. That folks are contributing in small ways, not everyone has the wherewithal or the ability to do something great. I certainly didn't. But whatever small thing that I could do, I get out and I did it. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to really step up and do things, whatever it is you can, And just by you being here tonight, is an indication that you are doing that. And I encourage you to keep doing it, because you might think folks don't notice it, because I didn't think Bob or anyone noticed any of the things that I was doing. And so until he called me up one day and he says, Emerson, we'd like to recognize you. I said, for what? and he says, well, you know, you've been doing a lot of stuff, not just with the MHA, but we found out that you spend a significant of your time reaching out to needy and homeless veterans. We run, I run a thing they call the stand down, the North Jersey stand down. And stand down is a military term for when the troops rest. And what it is, it's one big day of where we provide haircuts, checkups, flu shots, and all kinds of good things to homeless veterans. And I get the National Guard in, who provides security on the inside of the building, because a lot of these veterans don't have I couldn't have police officers on the inside because they get a little uncomfortable. Some of them might have vagrancy warrants and so forth. So I would get the National Guard MPs, which they have a lot of respect for, and they would do security on the inside. We generally serve about 400, 450 veterans. And where do I get them from? The Department of Veterans Affairs generally, Patty Richter in Trenton, generally provide me with a voucher to a bus company. And I charter 7 buses, and I run as far as Tom's River and find them wherever they are, whether it's a tent city, whether it's under a bridge, and we bring them to this big event. And there is the National Guard cooks, but it's a big task trying to put this whole thing together without a staff. So it occupies a tremendous amount of my time doing this. But when I go to the event and I see all these guys show up and I see them being served, and some of them get a little discontented, you know, here it is, I bring the guy here, I'm giving him all kinds of stuff, but yet he's complaining to me about the food. But I'm kind of used to that. It was a story about running a hot dog wagon. I would leave work in the evenings, I'd go up to the kitchen, and I would prepare all the stuff. The ladies that worked at MHA, that would smell all that, the aroma from the buns and things that I was fixing, and then I'd take it out on the road. If I was late showing up on the corner, I would get a reprimand. Guy looked at me, he says, "Who do you think you are? Showing up here anytime you feel like it." But, you know, I would apologize. I would apologize and tell them I'll try not to let it happen again. And so, but I enjoy doing that work. I enjoy doing it because I look at them and I says, you know what, not for the grace of God go I. I was blessed. I walked the same path as a lot of these veterans. I walked the same path they did. I can look them in the eye and I says, I know what's going on in your head because it's been in mine. You know, and it makes you effective because they respect you. I'm respected among my peers. And that's very important to me because they know who I am and they know the path that I've walked and they know the things that I've done. And like I said, they know that I've had to deal with the guilt that, you know, comes with, and some of these, you know, I don't like to get too much into the detail of that part of it, but some of these folks, one guy in particular that I like to mention his name all the time, Michael Poliquin, who, if not for Mike, I would be on the wall in D.C. I would be on that wall down there because Mike, I was on my way to a building. It was doing a big assault, and I was heading into a building to give some cover. Mike was closer to the building. He waved me off. I went to the other side. The building took a direct hit. I feel the guilt of all the other young men rides on me, but particularly Mike. I always remember him when I have a chance to speak of about anything of honor, because that means a lot to me. So that's what brought me to the place that I am now. I had the occasion to speak in front of the General Assembly in Trenton. I was invited there by Assemblywoman Tucker, and I went and I spoke. And what I said is that what I attempt to do with the stand down is to provide some temporary comfort for a community that doesn't exist, that shouldn't exist rather, I'm sorry. And I also told them that I recognize also that it's not a matter of throwing money behind this to try to house these guys, because some of the guys are locked into the lifestyle. And it's a challenge. There are mental health issues that would have to be dealt with before you can attempt to even house some of these folks. And so what my plea to them at the time was to try to work with me to eliminate that community by trying to get every veteran off the street. We haven't been successful at it because we're still serving 400 plus guys every time I run the event. So I want to thank you again for having me here and for thinking of me in such a way. The Mental Health Association is an excellent organization. I've been around it for all these years, and I wouldn't have stayed with it if I didn't see the results like we're seeing here. And there are many stories just like this. And if I wasn't seeing things, you know, folks like this being served and being helped, I would have walked away from the agency a long time ago. So I want to thank you all for supporting the agency, and I want to encourage you to continue to support the agency. And doing things not because you're going to be blessed for it, but because you're already blessed. I always feel how blessed I am to have survived the war and be able to do this kind of stuff. And that's the blessing for me. I don't look for anything beyond that. And I will, as long as I can, I will continue to do these type of things, and I will continue to support agencies like the MHA in whatever way I can. And again, I thank you. I thank you for coming. And you notice I didn't look at my notes. And I wrote some pretty nice stuff here that I wanted to say to you guys.